So welcome back to the virtual FreeFrom Festival. We've been having such a great day and I hope you've been enjoying shopping in the marketplace and watching our demos. And we've now got 4 of our producers and they're going to talk a little bit about their companies, and they'd also like to answer questions if you have any. If you would like to ask questions, then if you just pop them in the chat, then we can see those and I can ask them on your behalf. So yes, please do ask. If you don't have any questions, don't worry, I have plenty and it's really exciting to talk to them. So first up, we are going to talk to Leah from Norah's Brownies. Now this is a gluten-free and refined sugar-free brownie, which is literally the holy grail. And Leah rather, named her business after her daughter when she was on maternity leave. And she has a background in fashion and visual merchandising, which obviously means that everything looks beautiful. But we'd really like to hear about what her passion is and where her company came from and why move from merchandising into brownies. What happened, Leah?
Hello. Yes, I did. I worked in fashion for about 10 years. I just loved making things look pretty and making them look nice, and photography. I always loved doing that. So when I had my daughters, I went into teaching and I discovered I just love cooking. It was more than just entertaining. I loved cooking. And then the brownie, arrived, and I started to make the brownie look pretty, and I started visual merchandising my brownies. So I think what I enjoy about it is that it's a bit like, how you have cupcakes and they're all like decorative. I preferred the brownie, so I've made the brownie decorative instead. Yeah.
Interesting. So what do your brownies look like? How do you decorate them?
So I use all natural ingredients. So my main inspiration and my main ingredients that I use are freeze-dried fruits and nuts. So I will use seasonal fruits, and I use products like matcha, activated charcoal, pink pitaya. So all the kind of the health, more, you kind of say, like, I would say healthy, but you're still eating a brownie. But then you got your matcha on top, so for some reason it makes you feel that little bit better. But everything's natural. There's no artificial colours or flavourings. Lots of fruits, lots of pistachios, hazelnuts. Yeah, just really kind of fresh ingredients in the brownies themselves.
They're very antioxidant, as long as they often, aren't they, those things, pitaya and matcha, and you're bringing something extra. Fair enough, it's a brownie, and I'm really proud of you for saying that, because often people think, oh well, if it's refined sugar free it must be sugar free, but actually what it is something that's really nutritious and a massive treat, isn't it?
Yeah. So I use unrefined coconut sugar as the base for the brownie, and as a type 1 diabetic, that's how I originally started using it, because of the glycemic index. So if I had white sugar, I'd find my sugar level would just like shoot up, and if I had coconut sugar, I would still take insulin. There would still be it's still sugar, but it would just be slower and slower release. Because it's unrefined, it contains fiber that would work together to work through my to help me with my diabetes. So I still have a sweet tooth. I have a crazy sweet tooth, and being a diabetic, it was just natural for me to use coconut sugar. Hence all the palm prints, because that's the base. And they are just naturally dairy free. So anyone that's dairy free, there is no dairy, and there is no gluten. So I use Dove's Farms gluten-free flour, and I have a classic range. So they contain eggs, but I also have a range that is vegan. So there was a lot of demand when I started. It wasn't originally vegan, but living in the last 2 years especially, the demand for it just increased. So I was like, right, I've got to change my recipe, I've got to get something out there. So we have the donuts are all just naturally vegan, and I also have a vegan option for the brownies as well.
Fantastic. And what do you use instead of eggs then?
So we use the birch tree, so the xanthan gum, and we use coconut milk powder, which we make ourselves. So instead of buying it from the carton, we use coconut merchant coconut powder, and we make it thick like cream. So it really like helps like set the brownie to make it really gooey.
Oh, and really rich and yummy as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just totally craving a brownie now.
I know we feel that.
Everyone's literally rushing off to buy brownies as we speak.
It's like 5 a day, practically or 5 a day.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much. Cocoa is totally antioxidant as well. Literally, at the end of eating one of these brownies, you're probably going to be about 5 years younger, would you say?
That's it. Mental health as well. Oh, the happiness, the endorphins.
Pleasure is so important though, actually,
Right.
isn't it? And you know, having a little something
Guilt-free pleasure.
Absolutely, yeah. Guilt is very aging, I find. Yeah. Very
I'm 60, it works for me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yes, you look incredible. So whatever, if that's just purely eating brownies, then sign me up.
Exactly.
So, which one is your favourite?
So I've got, I do really enjoy the hazelnut, and it actually won a Great Taste Award 2020 this year. So it was one of those ones that I ate. I love hazelnuts, and I was like, I've got to enter this to the awards. And yeah, we won Great Taste, and we also have a Great Taste Award for the ginger. So we are double award winning. So I'm super, super proud that you can kind of like eat it and go, this is really amazing, and then kind of get the award for it, just to kind of give that kind of like, yes, okay, they are as good as I think they are. So yeah, the hazelnut definitely, and also the bro nuts. I've got like a mint choc chip, which is new. Just tastes like Christmas already, and you can just eat it. Tastes like an after eight mint in a donut, and it's kind of gooey. And Norah, who's my daughter, who I named it after, she devoured the whole thing, and she went, that's my new favorite. That's it, that's my new favorite. And I was like, okay, so you like that one? Then she, yeah, that's a good one, do that one. So
I love that. Sounds like an after eight, because after eights are really too much, aren't they? They're too sweet. I remember having one when I was a child and thinking it was fantastic. Having one when I was an adult and my palate had grown up, too much, just too much sugar. So that sounds delicious. I'm definitely going to try that. It may become my new favorite. I don't know. I'm feeling the hazelnut personally.
Right.
Taste of Nutella, isn't it?
Exactly. It's
what's
so
not to love?
Exactly.
Oh, and so, where can we find you? On the internet or on the FreeFrom website, on the FreeFrom Festival website? What have you got up there?
Yeah, so I have got, oh God, I've got me now. So I've also got baking kits on the FreeFrom on shop. So that's another thing I've just remembered. So we've got brownies on there, and we've got donuts, and then there's also the baking kit that you can do with your kids. Obviously I've got 2 girls, so it's just an add water, add oil vegan baking kit with freedom marshmallows on there. That's really awesome. So also I've got other collections on my website, like Halloweeny and more Christmas ones that are coming up. So I've tried to put as much on the FreeFrom Festival. So if you go on, if you look on my shop, I've put as much as possible on there. So you should be able to get the full range and a good idea of the collection.
Well, for the next 5 minutes before they all sell out, obviously.
Exactly.
So and so you said really your daughter's kind of inspired it, and it's did it start as a kind of home-based company? Did you just start baking brownies, or did you go full on into what you're doing now?
I was the head of food at a school in Tottenham, and I loved teaching it. I loved teaching the GCSE. And then I had Norah, and so I had 2. So when I went back, the school I was in was quite full on and quite intense. So there was like choices to be made whether to go back to become a teacher. And then there was this kind of moment where I could either carry on becoming a teacher, or I could run my own business. And my dream was to run my own business. And I was, when you tick the boxes, you're like, right, I love cooking. This is what I enjoy eating. I love decorating. So all just slotted into place. So I started trialing it out. So when I was on maternity with Norah, I was making these brownies, and then people started buying them. And people were like, wow, these are really great. And then I was like, it kind of rolled into it. And Norah was always with me. She was at my legs, didn't go to nursery. I was always with her, baking in between naps. So I dedicated it to her because she was there throughout the whole journey. And now, now we're 5 years on now. So we're going strong, and we sell in Tottenham Court Road. During the lockdown, it was just completely mental. We were just like sending and posting out all the orders to everyone in lockdown. So it's been an enjoyable experience, and just really enjoyed listening and hearing people with these allergies, with these health conditions, being able to enjoy, because that's really why I started. It wasn't just to make a brownie, because anyone can have one. It was more dedicated to my husband's gluten-free. I'm diabetic, so it was more focused on people with allergies, wanting them to have something that was amazing, just like anything else. So that's really, I made it for you. It's for you.
That's very noble. That's a very
Thank
noble. And do you have a website, Instagram, socials? Where can we find you there?
Everything's Norah's Brownies, at Norah's Brownies, Instagram, follow me. And www.norahsbrownies.com online, and the shop's online there as well. And Facebook.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm so excited. I can barely wait to go and buy some brownies.
With a nice cup of tea or a nice cup of coffee, it's just like, it's a nice little treat.
Yeah. Or what would be good is I make something called horchata, which is like a Spanish drink. I make it with buckwheat and hazelnuts, and it's like a dairy-free, gluten-free, just yumminess, sweetened with a couple of dates. And that would be, I'm feeling that with the hazelnut brownie. I think that's
like we're willing winter to come. We want it to be cold now, so
I'm not. Yes, that's true. I feel like brownies may also be enjoyed at other times of year, so I'm not actually willing winter here yet.
Fair enough.
I like cold swimming, so I get my little dose of winter, and then I'm like, now the sun may come out.
Right, exactly.
While I have a brownie on the beach. Oh, well, look, it's absolutely lovely to meet you, Leah. Thank you for sharing all about your brownies.
You're welcome.
And I really wish your business the best of luck, because, the world needs you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
It's our pleasure. All right. Right, we're going to move on, and we're going to meet Aisha from Strp'd. Now, Aisha, you're going to love her background, because she has got the most incredible virtual background, which makes her look like a wonderful kind of well-being mermaid. She has her company. Basically, she had lots of gut related stuff, and it comes from personal experience that she needed to avoid dairy, gluten and refined sugars, and so she's really interested in things that will support gut health, and her company is all about that. Now, I know she uses tiger nuts, and I absolutely love tiger nuts. As a gluten-free baker, they're a fantastic addition to anything, really. They have a delicious flavor, which I'm sure she'll tell you all about. And I really would love to hear about what she's particularly doing with them. So, Aisha. Oh, Aisha has gone missing.
Yeah.
Here she comes. Look at her. Look at this beautiful tiger nut mermaid.
Thank you for that introduction. So yeah, exactly like Amy said, I've always had gut related issues. I've always avoided dairy, gluten, and refined sugar as much as possible. But obviously, as everyone, I still love to indulge every so often. So I discovered tiger nuts. If anyone doesn't know about tiger nuts, you can actually see them in this background over there, that little bowl. So essentially, they look like kind of a hybrid between an almond and a chickpea, but they're packed full of health properties. They're actually, despite their name, they're not a nut. So it means they're a great alternative for anyone with nut allergies. They're also not a grain. So anyone on a paleo style diet or anyone avoiding grains or gluten, they're great for you. They're actually a tuber. So they're a superfood. They're grown in West Africa and parts of Spain. And when I say tuber, I mean something similar to a cassava. So they're grown underground, but they obviously look a little bit more like nuts and they taste a bit more like nuts. They have a very naturally sweet flavor. So when you use them in anything, whether it's a plant-based milk or a plant-based flour, you get that natural sweetness. So actually, Naomi mentioned horchata, and in Spain, they use tiger nuts to make horchata, and that's what makes the milk naturally sweet. The product we launched just 2 months ago now is a tiger nut flour. So you can see the image right here. And that's essentially flour milled from 100% tiger nuts. So it's extra fine. So it's a great texture when you use it for baking. And aside from being gluten and nut free, obviously dairy free as well, one of the main benefits of tiger nut flour is its naturally sweet flavor. So whatever you bake with it, whether it's brownies or cookies or muffins or any sort, whatever your favorite dessert, you can at least halve the amount of sugar that you would normally use. So whether you're using a non-refined sugar, coconut sugar, maple syrup, whatever it is, you can half that and you get the same sort of sweet flavor.
Fantastic. It's also full of prebiotic fiber, isn't it? So one of the things that people use tiger nuts for is to support their gut health, because it helps you to attract more acidophilus, particularly the lactic acid producing microbes into your gut. So it's really fantastic for that, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So when I first heard about tiger nuts, my family had been doing business in West Africa for the last 30 years, and I discovered them whilst I was working out there. Just a quick Google search on the benefits and reading about specifically their health properties with regards to the gut. So as you mentioned, they're high in a fiber called resistant starch, which feeds the good bacteria. It acts as a prebiotic, feeds the good bacteria in your gut and really helps enhance digestion. So anyone with gut allergies, gut issues, or even those who have sort of intolerances and react to other types of flour, it's really good because it's kind of putting the good bacteria in your gut whilst you're eating it, which is great. That resistant starch also keeps you full for longer. It balances your blood sugar levels, so it's great for diabetics as well because it's got that slow release. And obviously, when you reduce the sugar, that helps too for diabetics.
Fantastic. And it's also, you don't have to use just the tiger nut flour. You can add it into any baking, can't you, as a part of the flour mix. And it's going to give that kind of, for me, it's got like almost like a pecan nut flavor. Like it's got like, and when you bake it, the outside goes like baked sweet potato. I always think it's got those kind of flavors to it. It's such delicious flour. But what I do is I add it into a mix that I'm, like a sourdough bread or a cookie. You can just add like 25% and you don't need to make any other adjustments to the recipe because it's just contributing that prebiotic fiber and that sweetness and that lovely nutty flavor.
Yeah, exactly. So you can add it in to any recipe. If you want to just use the tiger nut flour, you can replace it 1-to-1 for regular flour. but just reduce the sugar. Or yeah, you could use a combination of flours, and it's got a great sort of consistency and texture, as well as that naturally sweet flavor. And as you said, you can, supplement it in your baking to get that extra fiber and resistant starch. But alongside that, it's also full of amino acids and antioxidants. It's got 3 times the amount of potassium. Well, tiger nuts have 3 times the amount of potassium as a banana, and as much iron as red meat. So if you're a plant-based eater and you struggle with iron, it's a good option for you as well.
And also because you're supporting your gut, you're supporting your immune system. And at this time, that's exactly what everyone needs. You don't need any kind of food intolerance to need help with your immune system. So that's it there, isn't it? In a delicious thing that you can add into your food. We were talking earlier to a supplier of moringa and baobab, which obviously also come from West Africa. And all of those are really great immune supports.
Exactly. So yeah, tiger nuts are full of antioxidants and other vitamins and minerals, but like Naomi said, most importantly, their effect on your gut is exactly what you need to build up your immunity. So it's great, and the fact that you can enjoy it in cookies. I think you can see some cookies here.
Oh, you were hiding them.
And yeah, exactly. So we always have some freshly baked tiger nut cookies in the house for the whole family to just give them that extra fiber.
Yeah, fantastic. And like you were saying about the horchata, that it's you can also use horchata as a dairy-free milk. So you can make a dairy-free milk from your tiger nut flour. I'm assuming it's not defatted, is it?
No, so you can make the plant-based milk directly from the tiger nuts. So we actually have these are our cans. Oh, the other side. Flavored milks, which were due to launch this year, but due to the pandemic, we put them on hold until things kind of normalize a little bit. But the plant-based milks are essentially made from the raw ingredients, so tiger nuts straight into milk, and it's got that delicious, naturally sweet, nutty flavor.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, they are delicious. I will say, like a lot of those things, start small and work up to the amount that suits you. For we were talking to Emma Hatcher earlier about low FODMAP stuff, and tiger nuts actually are low FODMAP. But if you suddenly start eating lots of anything new, you can get a little bit of, I think it's euphemistically referred to as digestive distress. So actually just remember that it's really good for you, and it's really good for your microbes, and they get very excited when they meet it. And so you just start slowly, start with one cookie, don't eat the whole batch, and then you can work up. In fact, it's probably quite good if you can't eat the whole batch of cookies.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's absolutely right. And whoever has, if you've got gut issues, that sometimes a lot of fiber, you've really got to go slow with it. And even when I take probiotics, I sometimes find it takes your gut a little bit of time to get used to. So yeah, definitely, mix it in with a flour when you start using it, or use it for the whole batch. But yeah, limit yourself to one cookie a day.
Yeah, but know that it's doing your gut good. It's really tempting to avoid anything that makes you bloated or makes you fart. Let's call it what it is. But actually, the reason that that's happened is because there's positive action too, isn't it? So you just gotta. It's that thing about listening to your own body. You just gotta, judge it and try a little bit at a time and work up. And ultimately, people who eat things like baobab and tiger nuts, it's been shown that they do have more diverse gut microbiomes, and that ultimately makes you more robust and more able to cope with what life throws at you.
Exactly.
Well, look, so where can we find you on the internet?
Yeah, so the flour is available on the marketplace in 2 sizes. So we have the 400 grams as well as a double pack, which is 800 grams, which is about, I'd say, probably 3 to 4 recipes a pack, depending on how much you use. You can also find us on my website, which is www.strp'd.com. That's just strpd.com. And Instagram is strp.d. So again, Strp'd. On the website and also the Instagram, you can find lots of different recipes using the tiger nut flour. If you want to try it in your own recipe, feel free to just replace regular flour 1-to-1. Or even if you Google tiger nut flour recipes, there are quite a few options. Really delicious stuff that I've tried.
And tell me about the name. Where did the name come from?
So the name Strp'd actually stands for stripped of all nasties. So in our range of products, our brand's all about products that are stripped of nasties. So we have no preservatives, additives, stabilizers, or artificial flavors. And that will be in any product that we launch. And then obviously stripped and free from allergens as well. It's a little bit hard to read. Some people think it might be striped, which is actually fine. That was kind of the point of it as well, because the stripe refers to the stripes of the tigers on the tiger nuts. So stripped, striped, whatever you want to call it, but we go by Strp'd.
Okay, that's nice. You'll take, so because I think I called it striped when we first spoke, and so idiots like me, you welcome them as well.
No. Yeah, totally fine. Stripped or striped. The other thing with Strp'd is one of the benefits, which I haven't mentioned yet, is in Africa, where tiger nuts have been consumed for generations, their favorite health property is that it's a natural aphrodisiac.
That's wonderful.
Added bonus. So there's a little bit of a naughty hint behind the name Strp'd.
That's great. Oh, I love it. It has so many levels. Okay, so buy a bag of this and throw your Viagra away is what you're saying.
Something like that.
Well, that's, I mean, I don't know why you didn't just lead with that, because that is totally, that's brilliant.
Yeah. And if that doesn't work, just bake cookies. And
yeah, exactly, and then you'll be happy. So you'll probably feel like it anyway. Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. Brilliant. Well, look, it's fantastic to meet you. And I just need to ask, what's the little green leaves up in the top corner near your head?
That's nothing to do with the product. It's just this is meant to be a kind of kitchen table. All your baking products. So you've got the rolling pin, the whisk, the honey, and that's just a kitchen plant.
Okay. I just suddenly thought, is that what the leaves look? It's a grass, isn't it? Tiger nuts.
It's a root. Yeah, it's a root.
Yeah, no, but the actual plant is sedge, isn't it? It's a kind of sedge. So I've never seen the leaves of tiger nuts. I thought maybe that's what they look like. Okay, I'll go and Google them and then I'll know. All right, well, look, it's fantastic to meet you. Thank you for sharing all those wonderful properties. I'm sure people are very excited to go out and buy some tiger nut flour and get baking and making horchata. And the other thing we won't dwell too much on, but that's going to make lockdown and all these restrictions pass pretty quickly as well.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you, Aisha. So we are going to talk to Shari from Heavenly FreeFrom.
Hello.
Hey, okay. Thank you, Aisha. So Shari is owner and founder of Heavenly FreeFrom, and she is a lady with fingers in many, many pies, which she's going to tell us about. She's been a chef for 15 years, and she's, I think, gluten-free herself. Yep. And so her needing to care for herself and her wanting to take care of everyone else has led to her making some delicious bakes and savory bakes that are gluten-free, and I'm not sure if they're dairy-free, but yeah. Shari is going to tell us. So tell us all about your products. We'd love to hear.
So my journey actually started with dairy. It was lactose, and through continued stress in my life, it turned to dairy as a whole that I was reacting to. Eggs, then came along gluten, including gluten-free oats, so I can't have oats anymore. I use buckwheat flakes in a lot of my products, but yeah, my products, they came about because of my food sensitivities. I got so fed up of trying to find foods that I could eat because most of the FreeFrom stuff that you'll find in Tesco's or Sainsbury's, they've either got oats or soy in, which I obviously can't have. The downside to owning a food business is when you have food left over in the fridge, however, but we won't go there. Right at the start of lockdown, I had to put myself on a diet because I had eaten way too much of my own goodies. But yes, I love creating things that I miss. So I no longer eat pork or anything like that, but I wanted to create my own sort of sausage roll, and I have a couple of things here. So this is my sausage roll. And the meat alternative, I've had to make my own, and I use beans for the filling. So because I use white beans and more so haricot beans, I've decided to call my sausage roll a hostage roll to kind of fit that in. But that's the filling. It does kind of look like a sausage when I'm doing it. It's really strange. It
looks delicious. It looks delicious.
It is. I've had it said that this is the best vegan, gluten-free sausage roll that they've ever had. So smelling it, to me, the smell reminds me of a traditional sausage roll. And that's what something should do. That's the whole idea behind my products. I want it to remind you of something that you used to be able to eat.
So it's the things you miss, particularly. So sausage rolls. What else? Tell us. Get our get our mouths going.
Pizza twist.
Wow.
So this is a favourite when we used to attend events as well. And if you heat this up, the cheese goes gooey again, and it's just the best thing ever. It really is.
But is that dairy free, that one?
Yep. So I use Violife cheese shreds. So it's coconut based, the cheese.
Right. So soy free as well.
Yeah.
So everything is soy free.
Yeah. Everything I do is free from gluten, wheat, oats, dairy, egg, and soy. The majority of what I do is refined sugar free, but there are some products that I do have sugar in, which is mainly to do with the sauces. So I've got two other savoury products, and in the sauces that I use, they have sugar.
Okay, just a touch.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's good to remember it's all about quantity, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Aside from the savouries, I have sweet bakes. So this is the cherry bakewell, and cherries again is one of my favourite things. I absolutely adore cherries. I have them pretty much for breakfast every single morning, and if I can get it up.
You have cherries or cherry bakewell for breakfast in the morning?
Cherries. So I cook some buckwheat flakes with pea protein and water. I add a little bit of stevia to sweeten it, and then I keep bags of frozen cherries in my freezer, just bags and bags of it, because I go through probably at least 1.5 kilos of cherries a week.
Wow, you're kind of part cherry.
Well, I am purple.
Oh, yes, I like it. Yeah. You're like that character in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really
That's beautiful.
And the bakes being refined sugar free, I dropped some off to one of my stockists in Daventry earlier, and one of the shop workers, she was like, people actually love them. They cannot believe that they're all these things free from, and especially refined sugar free. So that's always a winner.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, good reports are great like that, aren't they?
Yes.
Well, they look fantastic.
Thank you.
So you said you've been a chef for 15 years.
Yep.
So tell me about your journey to get to here.
My first ever job in the catering industry was at Burger King, of all places.
How far you've come.
Great start. Yeah. I worked there for only a few months and then I attended college. But my circumstances changed when I was there, so I had to stop. And then, long story, but you can see that.
Ooh.
I actually broke my arm in half, trapped the nerve in between the bone, lost the use of my hand, and had to have an operation to repair the nerve. So I could no longer be a chef because I couldn't use this hand. So fast forward onto that, it took 2 years for the use to come back. And then I got an NVQ in catering whilst I was practically running my dad's pub. I was looking after the kitchen in my dad's pub, and that's where I got my NVQ, and I could really experiment with different ways of cooking. But that was also when my food sensitivities started as well. So as working in my father's pub, I had to experiment with loads of different ways of cooking stuff. And it just developed on from there.
So really it's come from personal experience and
Yes.
finding out what makes your tummy comfortable, or you know, whatever it is. You don't need to tell us what your symptoms are. I know it's a very personal thing, isn't it? But actually that passion comes from your experience of having to find the things that comforted you.
Yeah, very much so. Chocolate has been a big thing because most of them contain soy lecithin.
Oh, okay, so you're sensitive to the lecithin as well.
Yeah.
But you can get chocolate with sunflower lecithin in.
You can.
That's a tongue twister, isn't it?
Yeah.
Try saying lecithin more than once.
Yeah, it's lecithin. Yeah.
Ah.
Yes. Thankfully, over the past year or so, I have found more and more chocolate makers that don't use soy, so that's a good thing. But I can't have coconut either. So
Oh goodness.
yeah, so the pizza twist that I make, I used to eat those loads, and then I realized that coconut was giving me a reaction, so no longer coconut either.
Okay, so because the cheese is coconut based, so you can't. Okay, well, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, that sounds good that at least you're aware enough that you can tell when things are affecting you, and things change, don't they? But your range has products in it which don't contain coconut, I'm assuming, obviously.
So the bake that I just showed you, that doesn't contain coconut. However, one thing that I haven't showed you yet is our chocolate donut.
Oh my goodness.
This is raw, so it's based on dates, almond flour, coconut flour. There's actually raw beetroot in there as well. But because it's coconut based, and it's got coconut cream, coconut oil, and coconut flour. So one product that I can't eat anymore, but I used to chop this up into 4 or 6 slices, just little bits, and because it can be frozen, you just get it out of the freezer sort of half an hour before you want to eat that little bit, and it's perfect. But I need to figure out a different way of making them.
Or maybe almonds.
It's got almond flour in it.
Right, okay.
But it's the oil side of it, because I want to use, obviously, an unrefined oil.
Of course, yeah. I mean, you can, or unrefined sunflower oil, or maybe tiger nut flour.
Yes, I have got tiger nut flour. I do use tiger nut flour for a couple of products, so that is one thing that I could use.
It's because tiger nut is a little starchier than coconut flour, isn't it? Coconut flour actually is very chewy and absorbent. And I imagine when you were developing that recipe, you found that you had to kind of adjust different things to make up for how absorbent coconut flour is.
Yeah, very much so. I tried making some muffins with coconut flour, and I did not use enough oil or other wet quantity, and they were so dry.
Yeah, they're a nice idea, but coconut flour has so much fiber in. I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's good for your gut, but if you get the recipe wrong, it can be really quite challenging. Well, good luck making that a non-coconut brownie donut rather. It looks absolutely delicious. I can imagine all those flavors together. Coconut and chocolate is the taste of paradise, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what they say. And so we can find your products in the marketplace.
Yeah, Heavenly FreeFrom in the marketplace. We are also on Facebook and Instagram if you'd like to pop over and say hi. We're always quite chatty.
Oh, that's nice. And so on Instagram and Facebook, are those your two platforms?
Two main platforms, yes.
And you told me that you had many, many different things going on. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about?
The range of meat alternatives that I developed and I use in my hostage rolls. I do have other meat alternatives that I make, but I'm in the process of separate branding those and making them into a more commercial brand rather than an artisan home brand. Okay. So the ideas that I have for the meat alternatives is very much future commercial packaged based, whereas everything I do, I like my little setup that I've got at home.
Yeah. Okay, so future, and where can people get that kind of news? So do you have a newsletter, or should they just come and find you on Facebook?
On Facebook, I share quite a lot of stuff on Facebook and Instagram. I will be creating a completely different Facebook page for the products. But that's coming.
In the future, okay. Yes. Well, I have to say, every time you say hostage rolls, I think hostage rolls, which is bizarre, but it seems strangely appropriate because we've all been hostages in our own homes. So I imagine the thing that comforts you when you're at home, not able to go and do anything, would be a hostage roll.
Yep. Or a hostage roll.
Yeah, or a hostage roll. Spin it whichever way you want.
Yep.
Well, I'm really excited to try some of those things, and the best of luck with setting up your new meat-free alternatives. Certainly all of us need to eat less meat, and it's something that I'm really trying to do, and delicious alternatives that are easier on the planet are absolutely the way forward, aren't they?
The reason I made them is because most meat alternatives are either soy-based or gluten-based, and obviously I can't eat either of those things. And how they actually came about, to start off with, is because I missed having a chip shop kebab. So I made a kebab meat alternative.
I love that you're like, I'm going to take something that's really basic and I'm going to elevate it to a vegan, health food product. That's totally, it's like dirty vegan, isn't it? Yes. Yeah, good. That is totally what we all need, is a bit of dirty vegan in our life.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, look, gosh, it's so lovely to meet you. And I wish you all the best with everything that you are doing and all the pies, vegan and gluten-free, that you've got your fingers in. And we hopefully will see you thriving on the marketplace, and we'll meet you up on Facebook.
Yes.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, so we are now going to meet Mike from Nutcessity, which is another tongue twister, Nutcessity. So Mike's makes amazing nut butters, and it came about because he had a peanut allergy, and way back when, before all these different nut butters came out, actually peanut butter was pretty much the only thing you could buy in the supermarket. So we're going to hear from Mike all about his products and his itch to start a food business, which I thought was a brilliant pun on having an itchy peanut allergy. I don't know if it made you itchy, Mike, but you can tell us.
Did it? No, bang on, yeah. No, we were saying earlier, weren't we, before it started? Started, like, it's no pun intended on my part, but there you go.
You're just a natural comedy genius.
Yeah, I know, right? Poet, but I don't know it. How it goes? I'm asking, is that how it goes? So clearly I'm not, but yeah, thank you for introducing me.
My pleasure. Tell us all about your nut butters.
Yeah, so they're peanut free. That's the first thing. I did the business in 2016 because I wanted something that was peanut free, but also really good for you or me or everyone, and delicious. That's probably the most important part of food and why we eat food. It has to taste great. So great tasting products, free from refined sugars, free from palm oil or added oil, unique in some way, because I knew from my kind of business school background, I guess, that there wasn't any point starting a business unless I had like a different product, different flavor, different is whatever you want to call it. So I was keen on creating like a different product that would suit me, but also suit a lot of other people who have similar problems to what I have. Yeah, I think that sort of sums it up in a nutshell.
So what is unique about them?
So made in a peanut-free site. So they're lab checked as well. So no traces of peanuts. Organic certified. I worked for a couple of companies. Abel and Cole is one of them. Before I started, so I kind of learned a bit more about why growing organic food and eating organic is important. So peanut-free, organic, no added sugar, no added oil, different flavors, like quite unique, quite kind of like gift-orientated flavors. Gingerbread almond is one of them. I've got that here. There's a coffee and walnut, which is a low sugar one. A caramel cashews. We've got two great tastes, cashew and date and walnut. And lastly, choc hasbras as in hazelnut and Brazil nut. So, I just thought of that one day, and but I mean, there's no point in me just making almond butter plain, because that's readily available, and there's a lot of companies who do that product in different ways, which tastes great, and there's no point me replicating that.
They're super indulgent, aren't they? They feel really indulgent.
They do, yeah. I do agree with that. They're quite Moorish, and I get a lot of comments from people like, "Oh, Moorish, aren't they?" But they're not like ultra sweet. So, like, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, "Oh, what's it taste like?" It's not like eating a biscuit or eating where you get a kind of like sugar hit. It's not like that at all. It's more of a wholesome kind of flavor that I think if you've got a sweet tooth, you probably won't immediately sort of get the flavor. But if you're someone like prefers things like that are slightly savory but have a little bit of sweet edge, then you'll probably enjoy what we make.
I think they're sweet enough as well. And the thing is that actually, especially if you're used to eating things like Nutella or, all those kind of spreads, actually you're just getting punched in the face with sugar. But when you start eating things that are a little bit sweet, just sweet enough, your palate wakes up. And so they do taste sweet. It's just that you need for your palate to wake up and appreciate that, And
I think that's why I get such feedback, because there are some people who say, "Oh my god, that's so sweet," and I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, thanks for the feedback. And then other people are like, they're really not sweet enough. Like, so I mean, it completely depends on your palate. And like you say, for me, if I have like, I don't eat Nutella anymore, but if I had say a chocolate bar, I'd get a sweet hit, and I'd probably really enjoy it. But by the third, I wouldn't be enjoying it anymore.
Yeah.
And I guess, our palates, it's quite interesting, isn't it? Our palates to salt levels as well in a similar way. If you stop eating things like packeted sandwiches and, like a Subway's obviously got a lot of salt in those kind of products. If you stop eating those products, eventually your palate adjusts, and you only need and it sort of does the job. So
Definitely. Yeah, it's about, and the thing is, when you're using, I mean, your flavors are really interesting and unusual. And like you're saying, you know, Brazil and hazelnut and chocolate. I mean, it's, who doesn't love a chocolate Brazil? Come on. But actually, the combination of those flavors means that they have a lot of depth, and therefore what you're tasting is the flavor rather than the sweetness or the saltiness. And that is ultimately more satisfying, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And the biggest compliment people can say of my products is that they're really nutty.
I love that.
It sounds bizarre, but like, if you know, the taste of Nutella, it's not really nutty.
It's just
Like you get a hint of hazelnut, but 5 years ago that I last tasted it, but you get more of a just sweet, like chocolatey sweetness.
yeah.
So it's, I mean, all of my recipes have nuts, seeds, coconut, fruit, salt, and nothing else. So there's 5 parameters. One, you know, coffee's fruit. So it's just those 5 parameters that are whirled together in a stone grinder. So they're really nice and it's kind of like trail mix in a jar.
God, I totally want a jar now.
Yeah.
This is terrible.
It's so close to you.
I've just been hungry all afternoon. So that's interesting. So you stone grind them. So why is that?
Well, I have a contract packer now, so I don't make the products anymore. I'm happy to sort of say that. I made them for 3 years since I started in 2016. I moved kitchens 4 times. Switched blenders 4 times as well, I think.
Blenders.
Yeah, broke them.
Yeah.
Maybe got them serviced. Keep that between you and me, please.
And all the people watching. You forget.
Yeah, I mean, there's times when I've just been stressed by like not having a blender anyway.
Yeah.
So I approached a contract packer, i.e. a different business that has the capable production, about 16 months ago. And then I started working with them in February this year. Grinder is basically the most powerful kind of way of making a nut butter. That's how all the tahini is made, because you know, there's sesame seeds are so small, you need something that's powerful and has the kind of grinding capability.
So it grinds it into a kind of flour, I guess, and then the oils come out.
Yes, it's kind of all in one go with the one my co-packer uses.
Okay.
Smaller ones, you'll see it kind of develop from you know, a whole almond into kind of a coarse texture, then flour, then the oil starts to release. But with the kind of machinery my co-packer's got, it's quite a big, hefty piece of kit. So it's just like all in one go.
Sounds exciting. Do you go to the factory to watch it happening?
Yeah, I've been a few times. It's it's quite interesting. Actually, visiting any factory is really quite interesting. You know, like what's his face? Greg Wallace.
Oh yeah, what? The punchy grocer.
Love that show. He just goes around all these factories. You know, you see just this, like the scale that some food products are made at is crazy. But yeah, my co-pack is relatively small, but has all the right certifications, and the products are stone ground twice. So stone ground, then again, then jarred up. So they're quite a nice, smooth texture, but not ultra smooth. So not like kind of silky tahini. It's not quite that smooth, but kind of in between.
Fantastic. So can you tell us anything else? Are there any flavors coming up that you've got in development, or are you just totally happy with everything?
I'm never happy with everything. I'm a bit of my partner will tell you, I'm a bit of a kind of stubborn kind of realist, I suppose. There's always something I'm working on. I did a limited edition maple pecan last year.
Oh,
which went down really well. Actually, it went down better than I expected, but I still need to work at the costings of it and the recipe of it. So I think I'll bring that out next year for later 2021. And I've always got like a mindset of trying to reach as many customers as I can with the products. So I've kind of got like a sales mindset. I like that part of my job, really. So yeah, I like picking up the phone and speaking to buyers and managers and things, and get recommendations for stores. If you've got a store recommendation, please tell me.
So yeah, if you've
yeah,
got anyone in the chat. So I was just going to say in the chat, if anyone has, let us know, we can pass that on. If you would love any of these products, you know, stocked, but remember, you can totally buy them in the marketplace. So, and for nowadays, that is the way that everyone's shopping, isn't it? Really, is online, because it comes straight to you. You don't have to don a mask and go into a shop.
But with that being said, and that is, definitely a relevant point, I think I really have kind of like a not soft spot, that's probably not the right term, but because I used to work in a health food shop, in an independent health food shop, they're really important for the general economy, the high street, the local community. Those shops are going through the most they've ever been through, and they had probably most of them had a bit of a sales uplift in March, April, but now supermarkets are prepared, they've got more staff in, they've got more grocery basket slots, and I'm quite concerned for a lot of high street retailers. So I think it's just, I think we need to support them, is what I'm trying to say.
No, you're right. We all need to support small businesses. You know, all of you producers, all of the small shops on the high street, we've just got to spread our money around. And that is, you're right, it's a civic duty actually, isn't it?
Yeah, I think spread your money around is because it's great to be part of the online marketplace. I'm really excited actually to be part of it over the weekend. So it's like a great place to get lots of artisan products. But yeah, I like to think that a lot of people are still thinking about their sort of local, either co-op or just other small like individual business, which always looking for support from people.
Your weekly shop.
But yeah, I've got a 4-pack site for $20.99, so 4-pack like mixed pack. There's a 15% discount if you buy a case of 6 of any of the products, and they're $5.99 like retail price on the marketplace. And then I'll dispatch them on Monday for anyone who wants to buy some or one.
Perfect.
There you go, there's my little sales pitch.
Stocking fillers though, aren't they? Can you imagine who wouldn't be excited about receiving a jar of nut butter to spread on anything over Christmas? I totally think that's that's what I'm going to ask for I'm going to ask for sugar-free brownies, tiger nut flour and nut butter. That's it.
I'm really intrigued by those sugar-free brownies. Like, they sound bang.
It's the dream, isn't it?
Yeah. It's Norah's brownies.
Norah's brownies.
Yeah, I'm going to go and search for some of them. They look good.
Okay, he's literally leaving now.
Yeah, bye guys.
Nice talking to you. Well, look, where can we find you? Are you on Instagram, or what are your socials?
Yep, Instagram, just Nutcessity. Facebook, Nutcessity. LinkedIn. Probably no one cares about that.
Is that a thing?
And then the website. So, but Instagram is like generally. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, fantastic. Where are you most active? Are you an Instagram or a Facebooker?
Instagram, hands down.
Okay, of course. Yeah. The only place to be. All right, well, look, we will see you on Instagram and in the marketplace, and we're going to fill our stockings with nut butter. Not literally, because obviously then you can't get your feet in. but your Christmas stockings. And thank you from your little place in the eaves. Thank you for sharing all about Nutcessity with us.
Oh, thanks for having me. Thanks, Naomi.
My pleasure. All right.
Cheers.
And look, guys, please join us for the rest of the weekend. We've got lots more demos and Meet the Producers coming up tomorrow and Sunday, and it's going to be a weekend filled with virtual FreeFrom fun. So all the information you can find on the website, through the marketplace. So just pop back again tomorrow when you're picking up some more nut butter brownies, tiger nut flour and delicious bakes. And I really hope you have a fantastic fun weekend. See you there.